what's your take on this? Is this something where it actually affects him in your rankings? Do you think that it's become this significant with Kupp?
Look, it's hashtag not ideal. Let's be clear about that, right? I mean, so he's a wide receiver over the age of 30 that suffered a major injury last year, hurt in the preseason, re-injures it. Now, they're saying all the right things. Hopefully he's there for opening day, but certainly it makes you a little bit nervous. I've moved him down to my overall ranks, right? I've moved him behind Tyreek Hill, behind Austin Eckler, behind Travis Kelce. I'm at 7 overall. And honestly, if I was in a draft with you and you took Bijan Robinson ahead of him, you took Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, even Garrett Wilson ahead of him, I wouldn't look at you like, really, what are you doing? So there's concern with Cooper Kupp where there wasn't before. The problem is that the upside is so massive. We've talked about this again. Jay has brought this up. We've talked last year on a points per game basis, not Justin Jefferson, not Jamar Chase. Cooper Kupp was still the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football. I do think, again, Tyler Higbee is one of my favorite later round tight end targets because, I think he's going to have at least a 20 to 22% target share. And if Kupp's injury lingers for a week or two, it'll go up even more. But yeah, not a lot else on Cooper Kupp. So I'm a little nervous about him, but still into the first round, I'm taking him. Like I said, in my personal ranks, I'm 7th overall.
Yep. Last thing on Kupp, there is some awkward correlation here where the more time that Kupp misses, the more likely they are to lose games. The more that they lose, the less likely they are to be incentivized to bring him back. And so I would just worry that they're going to take their time whenever Kupp is injured. And if there is re-injury, which hamstring injuries do tend to get re-injured more than other injuries, then all of a sudden Kupp is in trouble.
Well, Jay, I think it's a great point. Look at their schedule as we show it here. They start out at Seattle. That's not easy. They play the 49ers. I mean, we know the 49ers are one of the favorites in the NFC, and then they travel to Cincinnati. So if Kupp's not ready to go out of the gate, you can make an argument that the Rams are in significant trouble the first 3 weeks of the season.
Yep, they're 5.5-point underdogs in Seattle. I think that line could get even bigger, honestly. And then Niners at Bengals. I mean, at Colts, that will be easier, but I mean, at this rate, they'll be underdogs in that game too. And then the Eagles, there's a very good chance that they're 1-4 and they're already kind of planning for the future because they don't have their quarterback of the future on the roster. And this draft is an opportunity for them to reload.
Sneaky bet to pick
Wow.
number 1 overall?
Yeah. They're 10-1 to have the worst record in the NFL, and I think that is very much in play, particularly if Kupp is going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season, and that continues to build.
Meanwhile, did you guys just completely forget about the drive-by shot that Jay Croucher took at Stetson Bennett? Stetson Bennett hasn't even played a down. They don't have their quarterback of the future. You don't know that? Everyone's doubted Stetson Bennett, national champion Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett's 36 years old. He's very much for the current. I'm not sure he's going to lead them into the future.
Yeah, they left out that not only Stafford isn't figuring out how the young kids hang these days. Stetson Bennett hasn't figured it out either. All right, more player news here on Kendre Miller. Saints head coach Dennis Allen said he's dealing with a hamstring injury. So this seems to be a new injury, Jay, for Kendre Miller in a backfield that could be a little thin week 1. We know Alvin Kamara's dealing with the 3-game suspension. Jamal Williams is there, and we know what he could do. But at the end of the day, if Kendre Miller's not ready to roll, things get very thin for New Orleans.
Yeah, and this is a very sneaky, high-leverage fantasy spot this season is if you can solve the New Orleans backfield and draft the guy who's going to provide the most value relative to ADP, then you're sitting very pretty. It's kind of like picking the wide receiver in Baltimore who's going to pop, because the thing with the Saints is that they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They are the division favorites in the NFC South for a reason, and they're going to be running the ball in a lot of second halves. And right now, in terms of who the guy is going to be, I mean, Alvin Kamara is going to miss the first few games. Jamal Williams is going to be likely a touchdown machine, but isn't going to get 3 down usage. And so Kendre Miller was the interesting one, but the fact that he is going to be compromised as well. I mean, I'm not really sure what to do with this situation. I think Alvin Kamara might be getting to the point where he's drifting too much. And I know he's not an exciting guy to draft, but at some point he's going to become a value.
Barry, is this a situation that it helps out Jamal Williams, or do you think no matter what, the Saints got to find somebody else to take some of the work off his plate as well?
Look, I think it certainly helps Jamal Williams. Those first 3 games should line up very nicely for him. He'll be a very chalk play in DFS. But this feels like, wait, what is that? That's Taysom Hill music. This is feel right. This is like we're all going to be on Jamal Williams for the first 3 weeks, and it's going to be, Taysom Hill 3 carries for 8 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, feels like that's what's coming our way, just to completely annoy us. It's a setback for Kendre Miller in terms of missing time, and then he was already going to be third on the depth chart. Kendre Miller, I think, is a name that we will be talking about in the second half of the year. I really like him. I am out on Kamara this year. Maybe I'm wrong, but he made the hate list for a reason. I'd much rather have, in drafts even now, I get it, Jay, when you're talking about how Kamara keeps falling, and at some point you're just like, all right, let's see if he's got anything. But I prefer Kendre Miller at cost than to Alvin Kamara, because Kendre Miller is basically free in drafts. And yes, I don't think anyone likes Jamal Williams, except Jamal Williams is a perfectly fine, good, solid running back who should get a lot of run. I'm nervous about being vultured by Taysom Hill here, but yeah, they have Kirk Merritt. They signed Tony Jones, who's been there for a while. They signed him again to the practice squad, but no, it does feel like it'll be Jamal Williams and probably a little bit of Taysom Hill in that first 3 weeks.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and Rotoworld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from Rotoworld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.